Okej, hjärtligt välkomna alla som är här och det trillar fortfarande in så att de får missa det. Det är samma bilder varenda gång i början. Så att det är väl inte så farligt, hoppas jag. Jag tittar över och ser så tekniken ser rätt ut. Det lyser grönt och det är gröna lampor och jag är i kameran, jajamensan. Vi har HD bakom oss, jajamän. Så då kan vi köra igång. Ska jag bara aktivera rätt fönster också så att bilderna kommer igång här. Så. Som sagt var, som jag brukar säga, det är samma bilder som vi brukar ha här så att det är nu i början så att det är samma tjat för er som brukar vara med på Cloudy Friday. Och för ni som är nya så är det jag, Claes och Brita och Jörgen som kör de här webbinarien på Autodesk Construction Cloud. Och omnejd till Autodesk Construction Cloud. Brita är mammaledig, hon kommer inte vara så ända fram till slutet på sommaren så ska jag säga. Sen är hon tillbaka igen. Men idag så har vi faktiskt en gäst med oss. Och gäst för er men en kollega till mig. Och det kommer att bli så att det blir så engelska i den här dagens webbinar. Och det är Tom Roach från Symmetri UK eller England som kommer till och ratta rodret idag. Yes! Så jag ska bara ta min underbara skånska som inledning och sen så ska jag lämna över till Tom. Och jag sa att det blir svengelska så att och då förstår ni att då kommer det bli på engelska. Men Tom han pratar väldigt bra engelska så att till och med jag förstår det. Då tror jag att ni också kommer att förstå det. Så att det är mindre orolig för. Som sagt var, det ska vi säga, det bara rassa till så där. Det är jag och jag ska inte visa den bilden för länge. Ni vet säkert vem jag är. Och ni som är nya, ni ser den här, ni kan se den med filmen efteråt också. Och dagens presentatör är då Tom Roach. Och Tom Roach han kommer att presentera sig lite närmare själv sedan för att han ska ha några bilder innan han kör igång live här. Och han gör en liten kort presentation av sig själv. Och med det sagt så ska vi se, vi ska ha en pool här tänkte jag, eller poll. Så ska vi se om jag klarar av det här så. Och sedan så är det som så. Det vi ska prata om idag är man arbetar med kamera ute på arbetsfältet. Och i detta fallet här så kommer vi till att presentera ett verktyg som heter Oculo, eller företaget heter Oculo, men även systemet heter Oculo. Det finns andra typer också lösningar. Jag trycker på launch här så är det är 1, 2 kryss, eller 1 kryss 2, men det är det inte i och för sig. Men jag skickar iväg den här. Där kom den ja. Och det är helt enkelt, och nu står det på engelska här. Om det är någon som har prövat på att arbeta med en 360-kamera ute på bygget tidigare och det är ganska enkelt. Vi har provat det, vi använder det nu. Eller nej, vi har inte provat det än. Vi vet kanske inte ens vad det är för någonting. Så att om ni svarar här, så vi se, snart är det i alla fall hälften som har svarat här. Procenttalet tickar upp här. Good. Jag ser att det är faktiskt några som har provat på detta. Trevligt. Men de flesta har inte gjort det. Nej. Då blir det extra spännande på den här presentationen då. Då ska vi se, då ska jag ta och stänga den här. Ska vi se om jag lyckas göra det. Close ska jag trycka på. Så. Och ska vi se om jag trycker där så ska vi se om jag kanske... Nej, det var fel knapp. I alla fall, jag säger siffrorna här. Det är i alla fall 90% som har inte provat på detta än tidigare. Nu ska vi se. Nu hade de arbetat färdigt här. Full result. Tack. Där, nu så kommer den upp. Det tog lite tid innan den kom. Där. 90% som inte har provat på det. Det är faktiskt 5% som kör med detta här. Och sen så har vi 5% som har testat av det. Så att majoriteten som är med idag har inte kört detta. Så då blir det lite spännande här. Yes, nej men då gör vi så. Det var pullen. Då går vi vidare. Och nu ska vi se här om den släppte, min screen släppte här ser jag. Så nu ska vi se, jag ska ta där, nu kom den fram igen. Som sagt var, de här inspelningen, det här webbinariet och alla andra också för den delen, de spelas in. Och här har ni under vår hemsida då, under insikter och under videobibliotek, där ligger filmerna. Så att ni kommer att få en länk på mail också tillskickat här, så att ni kan klicka på länken och komma direkt hit här. Okej, innan vi startar då ska vi se, det var hemskt vad den var långsammare nu. Så, nu vaknar den. Så har vi en liten frågeruta där ni kan faktiskt ställa frågorna under tiden. Claes, jag och Jörgen, vi kommer till såklart sitta och svara här i bakgrunden. Och eventuellt så tar vi upp i slutändan, om det är någonting vi inte kan svara på, så tar vi upp det, så kan Tom kan hjälpa till och svara på det. Så det är den där question-rutan, där kan ni ställa frågorna. Och då går vi över till agendan för idag. Och jag har bara en punkt, och det är alltså Oculo. Och det är alltså ett nytt sätt att dokumentera och övervaka arbetsplatsen på. Lite kort då, för att Tom kommer till köra vad det handlar om. Men det är liksom 2 issues som vi har här. Och det är liksom brist på data för projektledningen och säkerheten. Vi har data till byggprojektet. Som det är svårt att fånga data till byggprojektet. Och svårt att komma åt. Och det lämnar blinda fläckar, som vi kallar det här för. Alltså någonting som inte, det är svårt att dokumentera helt enkelt. Här är tanken då, vad kan lösningen vara? Och det är då Oculo. Det fångar, det bearbetar och det är en 360 graders täckning på det. Det är det som är det coola. Så att jag inte behöver springa runt och fota själv, utan det har jag kameran till för. Okej, då gör vi så att vi tar den här trevliga bilden. Och jag kommer att göra så att jag switchar över till English now, Tom, so you understand what I say. And I'm gonna make Tom now to a presenter, and Tom is gonna take over and make a short presentation, who he is and what Oculo is, and then he's gonna run the Oculo, so you see it live, how grateful and actually easy to work with. So Tom, I make you to presenter now, and go for it.
That's hopefully it. Hopefully you can see that from your end. So thank you very much, Pierre, and we'll go from here. So we'll get straight into it today. So as a bit of an introduction to myself, as Pierre has kindly already done so, but my name is Tom Rudge, and I'm a digital construction consultant from the UK division. So my background, I started off as a site engineer working for a main contractor in the UK. From there, I've now been with Symmetry for nearly 5 years. So I've had a great sort of array of knowledge from being on site to working with technology and great solutions such as Oculo, which I will show you today. So Oculo is a London-based company, but even with it being London-based, again, we've got projects and examples right across the globe. So again, we're not limited, and there's lots of availability there. So in terms of getting it over to yourselves in the Nordics, there's no issues at all in regards to that. So as Pierre touched on briefly, so some of the problems that we're facing currently in the industry today. So one of them is project management challenges. As we're all aware, one is all to do with labour shortages, and we need to be more effective in regards to utilising our time and also efficiency when we're undertaking tasks. And another thing is the likes of low BIM adoption. So it's trying to think of technologies that are simple but effective and easy for people to pick up. Another thing is in regards to fire safety. So in the UK currently, there is a new standard that has come out, an act, that is the Building Safety Act. So you needed to provide the likes of evidence and information against any fire stopping related assets in your building to ensure that you're fully de-risked and you are protecting clients to the best of the ability of the bill, basically. And another point is in regards to claims and disputes. So I'm not sure if many of you before have worked on site or again worked with members on construction sites, etc. But when you get to a point of the project, there can be times where you're having to go back through photographs to prove what has been stored at a point in time. Again, moving on to that now, a problem with that is the likes of if you're taking hundreds of photographs to try and prove what has been stored throughout the sort of construction process, you're having to manually sort through these photos if taken on a phone, trying to remember exactly where you were stood when they were taken. And also there's the possibility that you've got incomplete data due to the fact it being a static image and you haven't got the ability to look round to make sure, again, to give you that overall picture of what was installed at that point in time. So what is Oculo? So in simple terms, Oculo is all around your progress site capture. Okay, there's lots of different ways and we'll get into that now. But in terms of an overview, 3 simple steps are to do with capture, the first process, so how we go about that. The second one is the actual process, how it's undertaken. And the third one is around 360 coverage. And you'll see in a second how simple this is to use and how effective it can be for basically bringing people on board and using technology and helping to change that cultural gap from using sort of 2D drawings to getting them involved with technology. Okay, so let's go right into it and have a look at a bit of a deep dive. So if I change my screen now, we'll get straight into a live demo. So what you're looking at here is the Oculo system. So this is an example project we're using. As you can see, the first thing that is shown is a 2D floor plan. So this 2D floor plan basically gives you an idea, as shown, sort of the layout and where, again, the current position where you stood in a building. So to sort of break this down really, Oculo works in combination of a 2D floor plan, a 360 camera, which can be put on top of a hard hat, and a starting position. That might not make much sense now, but when we get into this, you'll start to see how powerful this is and how simple it is to pick up in terms of a technology, as I keep referring to. So just to give you a bit of an idea what's going on here. So what we've got, so top left, we've got the project. So Oculo is accessed via the web. So you can access this via laptop, tablet, mobile device, however you wish. So you've got lots of different sort of variants there trying to access this information. But the key thing, as we can see here, is that you can see all these yellow dots. So as I mentioned, this is all around capturing your data and what has been installed on site, basically. So the first thing you notice is the 28th of March, 2022. So that is the scan date. If I flip back through here, you'll now start to see now basically the different dates that scans were undertaken. So you can see there the 31st of January. If we go back again, 20th of September. So every one of these dates is where I personally walk around a site and seeing the progress of where we're up to at that point in time. So let's get right into it now, and I'll show you exactly why we're here and what I'm trying to prove by showing you this. So I have got this ready just in case, but as I hover over one of these yellow dots, it's basically going to give me the option to select that. So if I select that yellow dot now, so as I mentioned before, it's going to take me directly to this view. Okay, so that now, as you can see on the bottom left, that is taking me to that point on the floor plan, exactly where it was captured using a 360 camera. So traditionally, as I mentioned before, of using the likes of a phone, you've got that still image photo and this is all you would have. You can't see anywhere else apart from this. But now with the ability to use this software, if I drag my mouse, I can look all around me in a 360 degree view. I can look up, directly up, I can look any direction, and the clarity is going to be exactly the same. So you've got the ability here to capture all of this data and basically utilize it and have a record right throughout your project, because it's all stored online on a web platform, so you don't even need to worry about data implications. So again, it's unlimited data with this. This is the great thing about capturing these scans, really. So again, I can look round, but a key thing I want to show you here is by looking round, on the top right, we've got 3 options. So the first one we're in is currently 360 view mode, which this is just basically looking at the scan in its raw sort of function. We've got comparison mode. And finally, we've got BIM model comparison mode. So first, let's have a look at the comparison mode to see what we get out of that. So by me clicking this now, that is basically going to take me to this view. So this view now is showing me, as you can see, a side-by-side comparison from one of the scripts that basically captured on site when I did a site walk, comparing to another date, as you can see at the top. So this is now comparing a scan taken from the 28th of March 2022 to July 19th, 2021. Again, this would be powerful enough just being able to compare the 2 photos together. But using the Oculo software now, you have the same functionality to look around in a 360 view, so you can see exactly the difference in progress relating to 2 dates. And it doesn't stop there. So if I go change job walk, and I'm going to change this now to September, you will see here the progress that has been made from the 20th of September 2021 all the way to the 28th of March 2022. And as you can see, quite evidently, there's been quite a bit of work on the external front, as you can see on the floor here. Right, so going back to the 360 view now, last thing I wanted to show you in terms of the functionality is this BIM model comparison mode. So same thing again, if I were to select that, that is going to take me to this view. So as you may have seen there, so this model sort of viewer is based on Autodesk Forge. So the same as the likes of ACC and 360. So you've got that full capability again by using this. So exactly the same functionality on the left hand side. If I drag my mouse again, you're going to be able to see the scan comparing to the model. And with this being a model, as you can see, as I sort of drag my mouse about, I've got the ability then to click on elements to find out exactly what that is. So I can click on, let's go for a window, for example. We'll click on a window. I will right click. So I've got all, again, the model information behind this, because it's come directly from Revit, Navisworks using MWC, NWD, federated model, IFCs it can use. So really, you've got sort of full capability with this when using any type of model. But if I go show properties now on this window, this now is going to bring through from that from the model file that we used, all the information that was available. So I've now got the ability, not just with the scan, but also a model viewer to see all the properties and information behind certain assets. And as you can assume, if I right click on this as well, I can go hide selected, hide that off. I can show everything. I can focus on that if I wish. So I can just go isolate. That's now going to hide everything off, and I can just focus on that window or particular type of elements. At the bottom, so if I just go show all objects again, we've got all the different functionalities that you do have in your traditional sort of Forge viewer. So you've got, again, you've got the likes of sort of camera mode, measure tool, so we can use that. We can measure from point to point. It will snap. So you've got that full sort of functionality there. You can change all the settings to choose your sort of the metrics you need. Sectioning tools, so we can section it in here, comparing to the scan again. Explode the model. We've got a model browser, as you can see. So this is going to I'll show you now all the models that are involved with this model. So we've got 3 models, 2 architectural and an MEP that are involved in this current one. And then, as I mentioned before, we've got the properties. By selecting on an element, we can actually go to that. So you've got that full sort of, as I keep mentioning, that full functionality, very easy to use and very simple to get a hold of. So it doesn't stop there. So that's sort of the functionality now. But what we can do with this being sort of, captured data, if I go and click, let's say in the plant room back here. So here now we're in the plant room, 28th of March, 2022 again, as we can see. to give you a bit of an example, we can go to that comparison mode and we can have a look again between sort of the 2 points. When that loads, it will give you that sort of ability to check between them areas. Again, isn't how that I'm working on a live project. As you can see there's a comparison mode pop up. So I can go back to a date again if I wish. So we'll go to 19th of July and you'll see the progress that has been made in this plant room from that point in time. So again, that gives you a bit more of an understanding now inside the building. And if I look up, you can see directly above you to give you that idea of the progress that has been made between them dates. So what I was getting onto then was if I click the bottom right now, we've got 2 options. I can create an issue or I can create a asset tag. Okay, for this example now, we'll have a look at an issue, and I've got a slide later on that will show you basically what we can do with the assets. But if I just go create issue now, and I'll select an area, and we'll select this here. What you can notice straight away, issue type, ACC issue. So if any of you are using ACC, BIM 360, you can basically raise an issue and it will automatically go through into ACC or BIM 360 and add on to what has already been raised in that system. So this has got a direct link to them platforms, which is going to be very useful for some of you who have that sort of ability and have that up and going on projects, or you're using that for your document management system. So if we can show you a bit of an example. So if I go to the issues now, so the way I get to here, if I just go off that and I show you at the top, you can see open assets, which we'll discuss later, and issues. But if I go to issues now, that's going to take me to this view. Okay, so I've got one saved earlier. So apologies, my Wi-Fi is a bit slow today, but this is what you're basically going to get. Okay, so in here, we've got all the issues that are raised. And if I filter this down now, I can actually filter this to see just the ACC issues. So the key thing about doing this is that then you've got the ability just to focus on the ones that have been raised to that system. So you can see that there's 97 raised directly in Oculo. So if you didn't have that link to anything, you can use it as a standalone basically software, or you can link it to ACC, raise these issues. So you can see here we've got the likes of sockets installed, not in model. So all of these now, I'll bring this up, are located in ACC, okay, as we can see. So let's give it a go. Let's try and get into raising an issue. So if I go back here and let's say we'll get straight into the building again. So we'll go back here and let's say there's an issue here with this pipe, for example. So if I do this, exactly the same again, we'll create an issue, drag that in there, and I'll quickly do this for time. But pipe issue, we'll say we've got the ability to assign status to that. So if it's open, in review, etc. Issue type, we've got lots of different functionality here. Again, what relates to ACC. So if we just go design now, add a description, let's go pipe location, an issue. You can assign it to whoever's got permissions in the Oculo system. So you can see all these people can have assigned permissions here. And then we've got other details such as location, etc. But for now, let's just create that issue. Okay. So now we've created an issue called pipe issue, just to give you an idea of exactly how this is going to be created and be pushed through into ACC. So there you go, issue created successfully. If I go back to ACC, you can see at the moment there's only 4. If I refresh that now, instantaneously, that issue is going to come through into ACC, and you've got that direct link there, okay? And what you may have noticed also is it's bi-directional, so you have that link back. So all this information is in here and can be changed as you wish in ACC or BIM 360, but you also have the ability here to click on that, and that will take you directly back to the Oculo system. And as you can see, we've got the ability, if I click on that, that's going to open up a photo that has been assigned when creating that issue. So again, you've just got the ability right through this to keep track, keep everything together, and be aware what has been raised in regards to issues. And again, that can be assigned to whoever you wish then, and basically however you want to do that. One last point on issues. So as you can see, in total, we had basically 100 issues. We had 97 sort of out of the ACC environment. But let's have a look now at sort of the reporting. So if you want to get these issues out, let's say we want to make people aware. Again, it depends how you want to use it. As I mentioned before, this is a permission-based system, so you can invite whoever you wish to this, give them different permissions such as like admin rights, visitor rights, so they can only see the scan and nothing else. And then the most common one is user rights, so they can see all the issues and anything that's been assigned in the system. But let's say now, as I mentioned, we want to have a look at basically the issues just created in ACC. So if I go download as a Word document now, that's going to basically start generating that so we can get an idea of what's being produced. I'll open this up, and it's open on another screen, which is great. But I'll show you now how powerful this is in regards to being able to get that information from the Oculo system out into a Word document, and then you can use that as, again, pushing that onto, if you're a main contractor, onto subcontractors, if you're subcontractor, suppliers, etc., etc. If I go down now, you can see number of issues raised on each floor, and what you get is basically not much information there, but you'll have the description if you assign one, the category, status, all the information that you need to basically view that issue. And again, that works on the other way. If I click that down and click open in Oculo, again, this might take a second, but it will basically open that directly in the Oculo system and allow you to see that basically directly from the report and bring up all the information so you can see, as you can see here, the issue regarding that. So hopefully that's giving you an idea of the link between all these different sort of elements and how Oculo can be used to basically help people engage, to collaborate, to help with design issues. So there's so much functionality here, and we're just getting started. Right, so let's get back to the presentation, and I'll skip through this. So as a bit of an overview, some of the key features, ease of navigation. So the way I look at this is, if you've ever used, you may be thinking this, but if you used Google Maps, the street viewer, very similar functionality. So again, you've got the ability to, on these white dots as you see them, you can teleport through the building, or you can click on one of the yellow dots to direct you to a location of the building. So again, it's very easy to use, and anyone can pick this up in no time, especially with that functionality of Google Maps. That side-by-side view, which I've shown you, being able to compare the two dates together, which is really powerful, as shown here. BIM side-by-side view. So if you've got the likes of a design model, you're doing clash detection, for example, you can basically, every time you do a clash run, update the model in Oculo, and you're going to have the ability then to compare what the design model looks like comparing to what has actually been installed on site. Collaboration with issues. As I've shown you there, we've got the ability to, with issues, to connect up to the likes of BIM 360, Viewpoint is there, and also ACC. So you've got the ability here to connect with multiple CDEs and sort of really help with the issue creation and passing that on to people to pass information around and notify them. Automatic pin detailing. So basically with this, and we'll get into sort of how it works in a second in a bit more detail, but it's all around basically using that 360 camera, and with that, use a phone to start up the recording, and you can take individual photos still to help you, as you can see on the bottom right here, with the if you're doing lots of barcoding, etc., to get you that detailed photo. By you taking that detailed photo while recording, basically drops that photo onto the scan, so you can see then exactly where that individual photo was taken, and you can click on that then as shown as a mobile note to show you exactly how to access that, and you can see that in detail, download it, etc. So it's much better than the traditional way of doing it and doing it separately, basically. And next point, you may have seen then, but you basically, with it being sort of Google Maps functionality, it has automatic facial recognition and it blurs it out automatically. So data, data security, etc., or personal space, that sort of side, that's all covered, and you've got nothing to worry about when we're using this on site doing scans. So you may be thinking now, how does Oculo actually work? So it's a combination of, as I mentioned before, 360 camera on top of a hard hat. Basically just put it on a tripod, and again, it's set up. The mobile app. So as I just briefly mentioned, then the way this works so you can understand it is you have the mobile app, so an Oculo mobile app. With that mobile app, I see that as the control panel, basically. Everything is ran from that mobile app. So you start recording using that, you end the recording using that, you take photos using that, you can raise issues while you're walking around using the mobile app. So everything is done via that whilst the camera is on recording. So it is, again, dead easy to use, and it's just a matter of starting it up and just simply walking. And the final point, as I mentioned, is around the web platform. So everything is accessible through that. As I mentioned before, laptop, tablets, mobile devices, whatever you wish can be accessed. So you've got the ability there to access from multiple places. So in terms of the actual scanning process now, so some people see this and think, oh, it could be GPS that it uses. The answer is no, it is so much more simpler than using GPS. All you need to do on a floor plan, as you saw before, if you have an X marks the spot to say, right, I'm going to start walking from the entrance of my building, basically turn the camera on, start recording using the mobile app, and just walk. That is all you need to do. Just simply walk around the building. It doesn't have to be in any particular route, but by simply you just walking around the building, when you finish recording and basically send that scan over to Oculo, they will process that and you will get exactly what I've just shown you. So in terms of what you need to do using this software, you just need to walk around, scan it, and after that, within a couple of hours, you will see that scan up and going on the web. So in terms of sort of user to using this, it is so simple, and that is why here at Symmetry, we love to use this. So in terms of asset capture, I said I'll touch on this a bit later. So just to give you a bit of an idea of what we can do with assets. So we just press play on this. So similar sort of thing here. So we can view all assets. It's going to bring you all this here. You've got lots of statuses. So as I mentioned before, with the back of your mind, this does link to ACC BIM 360. So all this data, it comes through into that environment. So you can start tracking between the two areas. But by clicking on that now, you can see all the data, you know, if you've got purchase order number, serial numbers, barcodes, etc. That then is going to be in here, already stored. And as you can see, using that blue marker there, that is where the asset has been tagged. So you've got the ability, so we're just going to show you to create one here. So by tagging another asset, exactly the same way as doing the issues, you raise that, it'll create that automatically, create a new asset, and then you can start assigning all that information behind the asset, and that then, as I mentioned, is going to go through automatically into ACC. Okay, so another thing with the asset is with that selection tree what I showed you in the model sort of functionality when we're looking at side-by-side viewer, in here, you could basically click through, so looking at fuse box now under light switches, start clicking through the model tree, and it's going to basically teleport you to where that asset is in the model, and you can compare that then to where that is in the site. So in terms of as-built verification, that can be used on that front. And similar sort of thing here, really, same thing. So model tree will look at all the electrical fixtures, look at the light switches again. And if we now click on that, you can create, as I showed you before, a Word document showing you the side-by-side comparison, again, for your sort of as-built state to check what has been installed correctly against the model or not. And then this is just to do with sort of your progress tracking, which is going to be coming at a later date. So a key thing in the UK, as I mentioned, is all around fire safety and evidence capture. So here, if we have a look through this, so this is going to show you the external cladding now. So if we click through this, you can see the power of being able to compare the two scans together. If I get to this now, so a key thing with Oculo compared to other systems on the market, which you may be using or not, is it has the ability to easily pick up the likes of external works and also on scaffold. So as long as the scaffold has got stairs and you're using that, so you're going from elevation to elevation, walking up, the camera's aware of which elevation you're on basically, and it'll pick that up, as you can see here, on the scaffold. So you've got the ability then externally to pick up what has been installed and what has not been installed. So you've got the ability there, not just internal to check this information, but if you need to check anything external, it's fully covered and there's no issues in regards to that and limitations. Another aspect with fire stopping is, again, with the photos, if you need to capture anything in detail, with being able to record on the 360 camera and have your phone as your control panel, you can take them photos whilst you're recording, and after, when you've uploaded the scan, the photo will be attached to that, and basically you can see that afterwards. And that's just a bit of a detail there of what you will get. In terms of measurements now, if you're personally using an iPhone with LiDAR sensor in there, if you take a photo on site, you've got the ability then to measure off that photo, as you can see here. So again, you've got the ability to measure out on site. So you don't need to go outside to check things. It's all there. It's all covered, basically. So a bit of a summary. So the use of Oculo on construction projects, some key points are the likes of, for Wilmot Dixon, lower cost of rework. So it can reduce by sort of rework by 5% because you're able to capture this data, sort of work effectively, etc. Lower cost of claims, because with a system like this being on a site or a project, people are aware that everything's being monitored, everything's being tracked, not in a bad way, but it basically gives them the sense of, right, I need to do my work, it's all being captured, you know, there's nothing, I can't get away from this. So it helps, again, sort of lower claim costs and doing it right the first time rather than speeding work, fewer delays, and also massive time savings in regards to reduced travel. And you will see that in a second. But business case, as I mentioned before, worked as a site engineer on site, and I've seen the reality of using the traditional ways of a phone and using the Oculo software, and I can guarantee, in terms of doing the two on site myself, it is around 10 times faster and more efficient to use Oculo than your traditional ways of working with just photos. And touching on that point before around saving travel, with the point of Oculo, the idea is that people don't have to go to site anymore just to check on progress. It's all there, it's all recorded, they can view it from anywhere, any device, and it's again massive time savings. Business case, a few sort of additional points here. It's got it can improve the likes of your site safety, because you can pick up health and safety issues constantly, as scans can be constantly produced and basically monitored. Increased efficiency, improve relationship through collaboration with the issues, etc. And also in regards to being able to sort of create 360 visual reports to help even your QSs, etc., if they are using that. So a bit of a summary there. 10 times faster than traditional ways of working, massive potential to reduce risks. It can impact this sort of labour shortage now by having this efficiency, and it's got the ability to capture assets and have a link to your 3D model. So whatever you're doing in terms of your 3D model side is definitely worth it when you're comparing that to what's been installed on site and seeing that really. So thank you very much. I will pass it back to Pierre, if that's okay.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much. Very interesting. Good presentation, Tom.
Thank you very much.
I got something in my mouth here. I'm gonna turn on my show my screen here, so I'm taking over. Make presenter. Show my screen. I hope this is the right screen. Screen 2. Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yep. Yes, we're coming to question here, and someone mentioned dimension on Oculo here, and you show about measure on a photo. But I take up this question. He says, can you show dimensions in 3D models as well as camera model, so we can compare the dimension in built view vs 3D model view architect?
So good question. So answer to the first one, yes, as you've seen, we can compare, well, basically measure on that 3D model, but comparing that on the actual scan data currently, that is a no. And that is because of the limitation of technology and being able to use, again, there's no 360 camera with that LiDAR built in. So the only way to go about that now is, as you're shown, if you've got a LiDAR phone and you're using that whilst doing the scan, you can take them photos individually of anything that needs to be sort of measured against, and then you can basically measure that via the photograph. So it's definitely one for the future, but currently, no, that's not there.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Tom. And that was the only question. Yep. And I forgot to put up, Tom is going to answer it live. Okay, I can do that later. Okay, yes, but that was that. No more questions about that, no. Yes, and we're going forward, and this is the end, and I'm switching over now, Tom, to Swedish, if that's okay. Yeah,
Sure.
Great, thank you. Och till er alla som är med idag, så hoppas jag att ni har fått, i alla fall det var 90% av er som inte använt det, kanske har sett någonting eller kanske det är helt nytt. Framförallt när vi pratar om framdriften på byggen och så vidare, så ni såg enkelheten här, det är ju framförallt det vi är ute efter. Och Tom här, han har ju då kört detta live, han har ju arbetat med detta, så att vi vet, eller han ska jag säga, vet verkligen vad han pratar om. Vad var det mer jag tänkte på? Det var... så tappar jag det. Jag får skylla på åldern här. Det var någonting... Jo! Jag sa det här med enkelheten. Det som jag vet verkligen Oculo skiljer sig mot andra framförallt. Det är som Tom han presenterade, när du står på bygget, du trycker här står jag och nu startar jag. Det gör man så här i appen. Start scan och sen går man. Och sen går man igenom hela bygget. Och det kan vara förhoppningsvis inte för många våningar upp, för det blir jobbigt att gå trapporna. Men i alla fall, ni förstår vad jag menar. Man går hela bygget upp och sen när man är klar så stänger man av den. Så att det är inte så att man behöver tala om att nu är jag på detta planet, starta och sen så gör man hela den processen, stänger av och så går man upp till nästa nivå och nästa plan, startar om processen igen. Utan här är det en start och en stopp. Och sedan så processas detta upp i cloudet. Så att det är enkelheten att använda själva den här Oculo med 360-kameran. Den är otroligt enkelt. Jag höll på att säga ett annat ord, men otroligt enkelt. Som sagt var, vi höll tiden fantastiskt bra där. Jag trodde det skulle ha betydligt mer frågor, så att det var därför jag satte lite extra tid här. Men eftersom inte det är det, så är det helt enkelt så att om Claes och Jörgen, om inte ni har någonting ni vill tillägga, så tackar vi för att vi visat intresse, och sen så som sagt var, återkom gärna med frågor efteråt, för det kan vara så att detta sätt så att pröva, så bara ta kontakt med någon av oss, så ska vi hjälpa er på vägen här. Så med det sagt så önskar jag alla en fortsatt underbar fredag. Här nere i södern så blåser det som bara den, men när gör det inte det? Och sedan så önskar jag alla en väldigt underbar helg. Så med det sagt så tack så mycket. Claes och Jörgen, ni har inte sagt någonting, så då förmodar jag att ni hade ingenting att tillägga. Då avslutar vi fredagens Cloudy Friday idag. Så jag säger som jag brukar säga i filmer och lite annat. Tjingeling!